Hey, I'm Laura Hanson. I'm a certified high performance coach. And the reason why I'm a certified high performance coach is because I am dead set on coming up with a way of helping people get through extremely hard and difficult times in their life. And my journey here required me to get through an extremely hard and difficult time in my life. See, when I started out, before I was a coach, I used to be a cop. And I went through some tough traumatic experiences, and I decided, look, there's got to be a better way of coming out on the other end of these things rather than just suppressing all of that, negative feeling and creating all this tension inside of me that's leading me to be angry and also leading me to lose faith in humanity and not really think that the good life was possible, meaning I didn't believe that I deserved to be happy or that I could be happy because I noticed the state I was in and I kept focusing on things in my past, and it just wasn't a good place to be in. And so while I was still on the job, I started going to these wellness classes and hearing about other officers who had really been struggling with the same thing, as well as hearing the perspective of their families that were struggling because their spouses or their significant others or their friends were going to this job to do something honorable, dedicating their time, their effort, and their energy all in for this profession. And it was not just something that was happening during their duty hours, it was something that they were bringing home with them too, because most cops realize that, hey, their job isn't just something that you show up for and you go into one particular building for and that's it. Their job is life. Their job is helping other people in their lives, and they are immersed in this field, this realm, this game of life, and they're there to help make it run smoothly, right? But oftentimes, just like I did, police officers get caught up in that game of problem solving. They get caught up in what are the stressors that other people are dealing with and taking that on as their own. And they don't have time because they're overworked, the manpower is awful, and their finances aren't really in a good place, so they end up taking on all these extra opportunities to work, all these part-time jobs or staying late just to make an extra buck. And it's a necessity for them because they have to be able to feed their families at the end of the day because the job really doesn't pay that much. And so when I was a police officer, I was stuck in this cycle. And then something traumatic happened at work that was something that I carried home for the first time. And it started affecting my marriage. It led me to a divorce, and it led me to having distance between myself and my coworkers. And I just lost vision for my own life. And it wasn't just that one event, but it was like everything in my life, all the stressors had come out through that one particular event. And going through all these wellness conferences, I noticed that was happening to so many other police officers. There was something significant in their career that just gave them that break that allowed them to see, hey, this way of living life is not going to work anymore. Things have got to change because I'm going downhill, and I don't want to see where I end up when things go downhill because being a police officer, we often are exposed to people's lives when they go downhill. And it's going down routes that I don't even want to talk about because they're ugly, they're not pretty, and they don't have happy endings. So listen, I decided to leave the job because I wasn't getting the satisfaction. I wasn't making the progress that I needed to in what I set out to do for myself, but also I wasn't able to leave an impact on my coworkers, on my department by continuing to do the job that I was doing from within the ranks, wearing the same uniform side by side. So I left, I went on my own journey. I started trying to figure out my life. I pieced it together in a book that I call Why I Went In. And that was my starting point of where I started to dial in on how important our mindset is in the life that we're living and the life that we're creating for ourselves. But after writing the book, I kind of hit a dead end again. So this isn't really enough for me to be able to help other people. And shortly after that, I came across certified high performance coaching, and it described coaching as a way of leading people into a better state of living. And I'm going to keep it simple with that without going into all these other details, because the way that it was presented to me may not be the same exact language that works for you. But overall, no matter what's important to you in your life, whether it's I've got to find a way of being better for my kids, or I've got to find a way of going home and not getting in these continuous fights and arguments with my spouse where I feel like me and my spouse are so disconnected and don't get each other anymore, and I just want it to be like it used to be. Or I've got to figure out a way of taking better care of my health, because the way I'm doing it right now is based on necessity, and I'm eating too much, I'm drinking too much caffeine, I'm not sleeping, but I don't feel like there's any other choice because I have got to pay the bills. I have got to be able to financially support myself, my family, and not to mention, I got to be able to show up and be there for my coworkers, because it's not an option. Like, I have to be able to back them up, and I got to be able to be there for them. So high performance coaching really changed things for me, because I ended up going through the high performance coaching program myself. And at first it was very difficult for me because I was trying to hold on to my old self, and I was resistant to somebody outside of law enforcement trying to talk to me about life, because I had adopted the belief of, what do you know about life? Have you ever gone into a stranger's home and had them start turning on you and attacking you even though they called you there to help? What do you know about stressful situations? Have you ever responded to somebody that's been shot or been in the middle of an atmosphere where people are shooting? What do you know about being able to have peace and joy? Have you seen the world out there? Are you just in denial? Like, I didn't actually believe it was possible to have this heightened level of energy or be able to be more productive in my life, because I was so stuck and so caught up and wrapped around all of the negative aspects of life. And it was hard for me to make progress because I was so attached to that negative stuff is what is real. See, I didn't understand that there's a separation. It's not about, coaching isn't there to say the negative stuff isn't real. Coaching is there to say, yeah, that is real, but are we going to focus on that? Is that going to be the center of your attention when you're going home to your family? Is that going to allow you to not live the life that you want simply because those negative things are existing? Because it's in my heart, it's in my truest belief down to my core that police officers are good people, that police officers are doing the right thing by being engaged in the job, and that this country and this entire world needs police officers because we would be in a very bad place without them, which means there has got to be a way for police officers to live a life that's happy, that's full of love, that is rewarding and fulfilling and feels that way. Not just I know it's true because I got the plaque on the wall, or I have the years of service mark on my sleeve, or whatever it may be, right? It's not about the acknowledgement, it's about the feeling of going through life, and whether you feel like life sucks or whether you feel like this is a good life. And you know what? I'm reminding myself of what I'm doing, and I have the tools and the abilities to transition from all of this negativity, the worst in humanity. And I'm not going to allow that to make me lose faith in humanity. I'm still going to have strong relationships with even strangers in the community. I'm still going to show up on my A game regardless of what happened to me yesterday or what happened to my coworker. You know, it takes a lot of intentional work, and I was trying to do this the entire hard way before I came across high performance coaching, and I didn't really want to present high performance coaching back into law enforcement until I was certain that it was a tool and a resource that would be effective, because I'm not into dangling a string of hope in front of people and saying, this can help you, this can actually make your life enjoyable again, this can make your relationships good, this can make your energy improve, meaning you don't have to be so frustrated or upset or overwhelmed. Your focus doesn't have to be drawn toward all of the things that your command is doing or that your subordinates are doing. There's actually a way of living a life beyond the stress, beyond all of the dysfunction. And there's so much agency that you can have in your life. And I had to see that. I had to check it out. I demanded high performance coaching to prove to me that it could work on somebody who has been through that amount of trauma, who's been through that type of lifestyle, to see that it could be applied into law enforcement. And so my experience has shown me that it can. Some of the major things that have worked for me is simply shifting the way I think. And when I say that, the old me would have been like, oh, so you were brainwashed. No, I wasn't brainwashed. I was just taught that when I was getting wrapped around the axle about things maybe my sergeant was doing, or things about the way a teammate was doing something, or about a coworker who I just couldn't stand the fact that they just wanted to sit in a parking lot. I learned to think about those things differently, and I learned to shift my thoughts more towards myself and more towards things that I could be doing better. And I didn't want to do it at first. And when I was suggested that it was passive to have been doing it the old way, I fought back. I fought back hard. Said, well, they're not the ones living up to the standard. They're not the ones doing what they should be doing. But the more I started hearing that and playing that back in my mind of they're not, they're doing that, they should be, the more I listened to, yeah, so what am I doing? What am I doing to solve that? What am I doing to make a difference in that? And every time I said, well, I tried to have that conversation and it didn't work. And I realized that I was just shortchanging myself and realizing that it was no longer a priority, or it wasn't a big enough priority for me to put continued action into it and towards it. So really my greatest takeaway is that I wasn't doing enough before as a police officer to get the results that I was after. I left so much on the table because I simply didn't know how to have these conversations that were difficult and still have the confidence that I would have a reputation that would allow me to promote. I would have a reputation that would lead other people to want to help me with paperwork, help me with my projects, help me with getting whatever needed to be done, whether it was on SWAT or whether it was on patrol, whether it was having an assist. I wanted people to come back me up, right? I didn't want to burn all the relationships to the ground because of all these confrontations I had. And so I tended to more of keep the peace rather than aim and strive for progress and improvement. But the thing I've seen is that when too many people, or when one person, when anybody is willing to sit back and be passive and just let it be and not find a way to make progress or to make improvements with a situation, then the whole thing starts to unravel, right? It's not that it turns to chaos and destruction, but it loses the potential value that it could have. And I believe in the profession of law enforcement. I believe in the men and women that wear the badge. I believe that the people who sign up for policing sign up with so much ambition, and I don't believe that ambition has to be lost, that the worldview has to sink down into the toilet. Yes, I honor and I recognize that there's so much you see on the job that doesn't lead you to happiness or lead you to want to put in the work to make things better. But that's exactly where coaching comes in, because you cannot rely on the job to lead you to where you want to go. You have to become your own leader and lead yourself to where you want to go if you want those end results. So high performance completely changed my life. I'm not on the job anymore, but I do have the training, the knowledge, the experience. I spent nearly 8 years on the department in Virginia Beach. I spent about over 4 years on the SWAT team. I see the whole picture. I understand the training elements of it. I understand the demands of your time. I understand the demands of your mental effort and your emotions. And I know that most cops say, I don't have emotions, I have one feeling. At least that's what everybody in Virginia Beach kept saying. But I get it. I get that you want to feel good. I get that you want to feel better. And I get that if you're somebody who is transitioning from being a police officer into the civilian world, that there's a lot of challenges and difficulties that are ahead of you as you try and figure out your place with who am I and what is this world that I'm living in. So I want to be here for you as part of your solution, as part of your guide, to be your guide into that better way of living, so that you don't have to continue doing what you're doing, and you definitely don't have to take that circuitous loop that I went on when I was trying to figure it out on my own by trying to scavenge my past for answers, which was exhausting, trying to listen to endless podcasts and books and taking all these courses and just trying to piece it together for myself. I went through it. I became a guinea pig so that you can benefit from it, so that you can trust that what you are investing your time and resources in will lead you into what I call high performance, but it's also simply better living, getting you more of an experience in life that you like, that you're enjoying, and that's you're consistently liking, versus so many ups and so many downs and so many this just is exhausting. You know what I'm saying? So listen, what I want you to do is apply to work with me, and we'll go from there. We'll get on a call. We'll see where you're at in your life right now and see whether or not you're right for my coaching program. I have all the intention in the world to set you up for better, to set you up for enjoying life. You use the language because I don't want to put it in your mouth, and I just want things to suck less for you. So go ahead and apply for my coaching program so that way we can start working together. We can start building on that better life for you, for the people you love, and the people that are most important for you in your life.